Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. This is your Midday Market Report for Thursday, April 6th, 2023. Thank everyone here joining us today. Thank everyone that joined us earlier today with the three men in the box, myself, JTTV, and Matt Grissom talking some college baseball. If you're watching the Masters, Victor Hovland, who the ECSI VIPs have a piece of at 49-1, came out guns a-blazing -7 while the pack's coming. Rahm just stuck it by about 4 or 5 feet. He'll probably end the day at -7 as well with Schauffele. Cam Young is close. So buckle up. It's going to be a fun time. But we're here to talk pucks, props, futures with good friend and colleague. I won't call him Peter Puck. You don't remember Peter Puck, by the way. That was way back when we had little TVs and it was Sunday ABC hockey. Peter Puck, it was called, before the game, in between intermission. So without further ado, let's bring him on, the one and only Mr. Andrew McInnis.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. I knew you knew, Peter Puck was back when Bobby Orr played, and you were not around when Bobby Orr played.
I wish I was, though. I wish I was. I just have the highlights to look at.
Shout out afternoon to Mr. Connor. Hope all is well in your world, Connor. Masters. We talked backstage on the Masters. That's going on as we speak. And hockey. I'm looking at this huge slate, and this is usually one I'm chomping at the bit. I got 3-4 plays on the desk, team totals, yada. It looks like Chinese tonight, Andrew.
It looks like a new language out there, Jeff, and there's a reason why I've been narrowing in on totals. I know you're Mr. Team Total, trying to get away from some of these sides. And really the biggest thing we talked about on Tuesday is finding out, quite simply, you have to play psychologist at this point. Which teams care? Which teams don't care? A good example to start out with us, breaking things down together, Bruins and Leafs, right? I told you before that I'm very disappointed in myself that I didn't bet the Bruins enough this year, and a big problem with that was that team totals weren't really much their thing because they won a lot of games scoring 3 goals. Puck lines, well, they won a lot of games scoring 1 goal. Regulations, they had some games go to overtime, and I don't like to try and find reasons to go against a team like this, but everything in my gut is telling me to take the dog in this one with the Maple Leafs. And I'm going to be in Toronto 2 days to watch my Canadians take on the Leafs. And I'll tell you what, as much as that's a rivalry, I hate to use these typical cliche sayings, but don't you think they're getting up for this one and they're not really looking ahead to that Habs game? The Habs game might be a Saturday night hockey night in Canada game, but which game matters? Because that might be a playoff matchup round 2 potentially, and they'll want to set the tone. Look at the game yesterday, Rangers, Tampa Bay. We know there's some bad blood, some history from last year in the playoffs, but that looked like a little bit more than bad blood, and you would have thought that was a playoff game yesterday, Jeff. So, I know the Bruins have been good, but am I wrong for wanting to go against them here at the plus price?
No, not at all. And I was, like I said to you backstage, I was hoping this was like the playoff game because I already have in my mind, okay, second round, I would have to assume that the Bruins will probably, my gut says at least be minus 225, maybe 240 in a series, second round series against Toronto. Toronto would probably be plus 200, the big bad Bruins, 60 winners, yada. Tonight, My true number was 65, 165 with a 6. It's already now down to 145 at circa with a flat 6. First 1 to 4 wins with an empty netter. I don't think this will be 3-3, 4-3 winner. There's only one way to play it, and that would be the Leafs. But as you said, I think we're a little late to the party here.
We are. And looking at the quotes, Ryan O'Reilly's back tonight. I've been saying this as well on shows. I think that these next few games, a lot of teams are on game number 78 or game number 79 out of 82. As much as they're getting into that load management stuff, resting players, or if you're injured, you're out to the playoffs. But a guy like Ryan O'Reilly, they want to slot him back in and get him back into game mode before the playoffs, right? But I feel like as much as some teams might rest players, you also want to make sure that you're getting guys in and figuring out who their line mates are. Like, I've always found that the better teams are the teams that don't have to adjust their lines every game. And I feel like that's a big thing for the Maple Leafs. Sheldon Keefe can't change his lines. Let's say they drop game number 1 against the Lightning in the playoffs. I don't think Sheldon Keefe should change his lines for game 2. You need to have some continuous, chemistry to develop. And this is a game to do it, I believe, here. So I'll look at things. I'll be looking at some certain prop plays in this game. But overall, as far as the total goes, I wasn't sure exactly what you say it was first to 4 wins in this game, because my lean, again, even though this game doesn't really have importance as far as playoff positioning, my lean would probably still be towards the under.
And it's a flat 6. If I'm looking at Wager Talk right now, the Bruins team total is 3.5 juiced under -145. So again, the way I look at this, if you like the Bruins today, you're not betting them -145. I'm going to take them +125 to get to 4. Mm-hmm. That's how I would play this game. Now they're giving you the if you like Toronto, you can take them to win the game outright, get the plus money of +132, or if you think they're going to get to 3, you got to lay the -130. They're 2.5 over -130. So again, if you like the under, then I guess you would say first 1 to 3 wins this game.
I want to throw something at you because I've been doing these a little bit with some other games and, some of these bottom feeders. As we all know, anybody that bets on sports, whether you're betting baseball, basketball, hockey, the end of the year, there's always those teams that like to just spoil everyone else's party, right? I'm not making the playoffs, but I'm still going to try and beat you tonight. And I look at the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight in their game against the Devils. Will they win this game, Jeff? I'm not sure if they will. Will they keep it within 1 goal? I don't know if they'll do that either. But you can get them plus 2.5 goals at DraftKings, -120. I mean, what is this, football? I don't know what we're betting here, but we're getting close to a field goal. And this is hockey, and this has happened before. The San Jose Sharks are covering those right now. The Chicago Blackhawks are covering those right now. The Anaheim Ducks are covering those. And here we have the Columbus Blue Jackets. I mean, the Devils, they want to go into the playoffs on a good note. We know they're going to play the Rangers. We know they're probably going to have the home ice. So they're -390 tonight. I'll take the Columbus Blue Jackets at +2.5. And I get it, I can get +1.5 at a pretty good number, at +140. I can get the money line at +320. I'm sorry, I'm not greedy. Give me the -120 on the +2.5. And when it's in the second period and the game is 2-1, I'm sitting pretty.
No, I agree too. And again, that's shopping around. That's peeling the onion back. We have 13 games up there, but how many of them actually mean something? Mm-hmm. and able to dig deep? The Devils know exactly who they're playing. And now you got Columbus. You want to go through the motions. You don't want to get anyone hurt. I have a 7 under -15 cents. They're down to 384. You can get the Blue Jackets at plus 338. But again, give me the plus 2.5. Hope they don't lose by a field goal or more. I like the thought process.
And you know, Jeff, like it's so funny because people will say to you, well, why not the plus 300 or why not the plus 140? And I get that, but I think that's a complete different math, right? Like to me, I don't play a lot of plus 300s, right? I'm not a huge, big underdog player. So I think when you do that stuff, you have to be playing them all the time. Would you agree with that? Like, if you're a big underdog guy, you can't be just betting them here and there. You have to be consistently betting them because long term, the math will work out. If tonight I play a plus 320 and it loses, nobody will care that, wow, Andrew was so brave. He took a plus 300. Nobody cares if it loses, right? Like this game finishes 5-3. We win our bet. And I feel like has a really good chance of hitting. So it's funny because there's so many different ways right now to find some profitable opportunities. I mean, the Pittsburgh one, you and I were scratching our heads before the show, taking a look at things because I mentioned this before to you, and I'm going to pull this up actually about the goaltenders. So let's pull this up here because this is just wild. All right, so goals saved above average for the Pittsburgh Penguins. You ready for this one? For Casey DeSmith, he's plus 2.9. Tristan Jarry, minus 3.3. Dustin Tokarski, plus 1.9. Those are, the amount that they just should not get. They should not let by them, or they should. Pretty much like a player's plus minus, right? And then you look at expected goals against. Casey DeSmith, 111. Like, this is insane. These numbers are ridiculous. And if you look at a lot of these advanced metric websites, they would tell you that the Pittsburgh Penguins could trade places with any other goalie tandem in the Eastern Conference, even my Montreal Canadiens, with Sam Montembeault and Jake Allen, and they would be in a better position than they are right now. That's scary stuff, for a team with Letang and Malkin and Crosby, and they have to go out there and know we need to score probably 4 goals to win a game. And I think back to not once, but twice over the past 2 months, I've taken the team total over for the Pittsburgh Penguins against the Detroit Red Wings. And Pittsburgh went down 2-0 in the first period. And one time they won the game, one time they lost. Both times they still reached 4 goals. And we're getting 135 on a minus for them to win the game and a plus price on them to reach 4 goals. No matter if they win or lose, but even more so if they win this game, they've got to score 4 goals, Jeff. And last time I was here with you, I'm fully transparent. That's why I love doing 2 shows a week with you. Letang goes over his shots on goal. Brian Rust goes over shots on goal. Sidney Crosby does, and Malkin is the one that falls short. So today I'm mixing things up. Hopefully Malkin doesn't go crazy. Brian Rust has gone over in 8 of his last 10 games. And if you look at his last game against New Jersey, he had 7 shot attempts. I know that you don't always get involved in these, Jeff, but do you have any opinion? I know you're not a huge prop guy, but do you have any opinion on my thought process here with the Penguins with, hey, even if they don't win the game, they're going to be throwing the kitchen sink at this team to try and score goals here? I think shot props are a pretty good look tonight.
I do. I agree with you. And you were on the show Tuesday. Everyone but your guy got it. I'd be back with him again today.
I think I have to, but well, let me ask you this, because you're not really a high volume guy. And I know that with units, you got bankroll management. Like with my props, for the most part, I bet less on those than my regular plays, right? Sometimes I feel like that happens where I isolate a game, right? Like, for example, tonight with Florida, I like Carter Verhaeghe over his shots on goal. So then you got Sam Bennett, you've got Kachuk, you've got Ekblad. You pick one guy, and then the 4 other cohorts that you didn't select have that big game. So do you think that in a game like this, let's say you were going to do 3% of your bankroll on the side on the Penguins, but instead of doing that, you put 1% on 3 different shots on goal guys, and if you go 2 for 3, you come out on top. and you don't care who wins the game. What do you think of that versus a 3% bet on one guy over his shots on goal, putting 1% on maybe 2 shots on goal guys? Because like you said, I mean, if Brian Rust doesn't have a good game, that means Malkin might. You know, if Letang doesn't have a good game, his defensive partner might have a good game scoring. But that's the prop betting market in a nutshell, though.
It's almost like how many units do you want to go into this game? In other words, if you were doing the team total on the Pens, you're getting plus money on them to get to 4. We already agreed with that. So that's number one. So I think it was plus 135 you're going to get, or plus 130 for them to get to 4. So you're already on the plus side there. Then you can take 2 or 3 swings at 1%. So I know you have your big play in the 5%, but if you basically said, okay, guys, we're going to do 2% on the team total over, and then we're going to sprinkle in 3 1%ers of the shots over. And again, as long as they get to 4, you're basically going to break even, maybe lose a couple pennies at worst. But each time you hit one of those props, it's going up one, going up one, going up one.
I agree. And it's all about the bankroll management, like you said there. But since we're talking about it, we might as well pull it up really quick. I'll see what we kind of have here for the current numbers for these shots on goal props. So Rust, the guy I talked about earlier in the day, he was minus 125. He's now 135. Malkin is 130. Somebody I potentially would look at is Jake Gensel. He's at 3.5 shots to the over, but plus 125. And as you've taught me, it's nice to look at that plus money or just, slightly on the minus. I wouldn't bet Rust now, honestly. I mean, that minus 135, like I said, the same thing could happen to me tonight where all the other guys go off, but Rust, and you laid 1.35 units to win 1, which is just not really something everybody wants to get behind there. This to me just has that feel to it where you're going to see, I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury, his goalie save prop, it's 31.5. But here's the problem. The Minnesota Wild, they rank 9th in the league in shots on goal allowed. So I think it's very clear that you and I kind of like Pittsburgh in some way, shape, or form, but we're kind of hesitant and we're trying to figure out how to do it. Do we? Because that's also a whole new conversation I've talked about on my prop show, is that if you like a bunch of guys to go over their shots on goal, right? You don't know if they're going to score. Well, Marc-Andre Fleury, it's minus 105 to the over for 31.5 shots. So then you don't have to pick one guy to shoot the puck a lot. You need the whole team to shoot the puck a lot. And if they do get you 32 shots, then you cash a ticket. You don't care who it is shooting it. You just cash that ticket, which I find pretty interesting. Because you're not really banking on one guy. You're banking on the whole team. And it's kind of like looking at hit props, team hits total in baseball, or looking at outs like in MLB. A lot of people, the whole world loves strikeout props, right? Doesn't everybody love a good strikeout prop? Everyone's a strikeout prop expert. Everybody on Twitter is a good, but you know what you can bet is the outs. So how many outs will a pitcher get? That way, if they get a ground ball right to the shortstop, he throws to first. That's an out for the pitcher. You know what I mean? So you don't have to bank on just. So what I'm saying here is that there's so many different ways to look at it. And I find that pretty interesting that you've got a Minnesota team, great defensively, good goaltender, but they're expecting the same thing, Jeff. 31.5 is the number here for Marc-Andre Fleury. What do you think about that one?
Has he come back? How many times has he come back home and faced them?
A handful of times now, I think. Well,
Okay.
let's see here. Let's see. We can pull it up. Let's see what we got. I can at least bring up the numbers against. I'm happy you said that. I'm curious because the goalie save props are always fun to look at because you don't really know kind of what you're going to get from each. So, okay, versus Pittsburgh. Wow. So the last time he played Pittsburgh, was November, and he got 42 saves.
Was it at Pittsburgh or was it Minnesota? Or was it at Vegas?
This might have been, this was last season, actually. So he hasn't played them in Minnesota as a Minnesota. He hasn't played, I don't think he's actually played Pittsburgh as a member of Minnesota.
And I was curious how many times he's actually gone to Pittsburgh. So he was with Vegas. Obviously, he must have played him before and must have played at Pittsburgh. I assume he played in net there, and now he's with Minnesota.
Wild versus Penguin scores. Yeah. 17th. Okay, let's see. Yeah, the last time the Pittsburgh. Oh, yeah. You know what? I remember this now. It wasn't in Pittsburgh, but the last time these two teams met, they didn't even play Fleury. And people were saying it was kind of a slap in the face.
I don't think it's going to be easy for him to come back down there. I mean, listen, he didn't leave on bad terms, but I think he was probably okayed with the trade initially. Now, I don't know about this last one, but, sometimes, you give up a couple quick ones and you're looking at your coach. Hey, coach, groin's a little tight today. You think I can tap?
Well, think about it. They thought Matt Murray was going to be the answer over in Pittsburgh. Now he's in the hospital bed more than he's in his own bed, right? This guy, he's not the answer. And Casey, what would this Pittsburgh team be if they kept Marc-Andre Fleury? Geez, I could do a whole show about that. That's a whole new conversation.
Well, again, they're the Edmonton Oilers of the East. But now, as we talked, Edmonton all of a sudden can play a slowdown game and beat you 2-0, 2-1, 3-2. Which, as we said, if they can do that in the playoffs, good luck beating them.
Like Matt Murray has 2 Stanley Cups. Carey Price has 0. No matter what happens, the rest of Matt Murray's Stanley Cup or NHL career, he'll say he was a backup for one, a starter for the next. He has 2 rings. That's how it works. Look at the NBA too. You got some guys. Damian Lillard probably will never win an NBA championship. But some guys that nobody has ever even heard of are walking around today with NBA rings. That's how it works, though. Some people care about that. Some people don't, but it's pretty wild. But, Jeff, it is a big board. I'd love to do what I did last time and give you a bunch of quick hitters, but I honestly don't love this board, Capitals, Canadians, I'm looking over 6.5. I think that those are 2 teams out of the playoffs. The Capitals are going to be playing pond hockey. How many shots are they blocking tonight? How many shots are those superstar players getting in front of to bang up their shins? I don't think very many of those. Over 6.5, minus 110 is kind of where I was looking there. Florida, like I said to you before, I'm sprinkling the draw, Florida and Ottawa, but I do like them to win the game. But at plus 385, I can't not bet that. Florida needs 1 point. The magic number for them, 1 point will really help them out here. If they get 2 points and Pittsburgh gets 0, say goodbye to the Penguins, and we're going to get the former President Trophy winners against the current President Trophy winners in round 1. And I'll tell you, I won't be leaving my house for probably 2 months when the playoffs start. But as far as the night games go, I've got really nothing for you. We talk about the Kings and Golden Knights. We broke down the Kings game on Tuesday against the Oilers. I think I got to go towards the under 6. What have the LA Kings showed me over the past 4 games? They're going to light the lamp up. And I think if they do, even in fact, do that, they might, hey, if they have a good game and you and I are saying, where was that last game? Hopefully it still goes under and it's 3-1, 3-2, something like that. So I think one of my plays of the show, I'll probably say under 6, Vegas and LA.
Yeah, it is a real tough board. And I think they're just getting us ready for that final week as we get ready for the start of the playoffs next week. Obviously, as we get closer, we'll get, once the brackets come out or once we start to know, we get some numbers, we can start talking East, West, futures and stuff like that.
Can't wait.
Again, it's a brutal board. You talked about this on Tuesday. I want you to give you a few seconds here. Big card, you said, in the UFC.
Yeah, I'm so excited for it. I've got a big 5% play going this weekend. You'll definitely be getting that message with all my plays here tonight. But there's so many things to look at. I'll tell you what. I mean, here's one thing I'll say. You try and find value, and UFC is a sport like none other, where you and I are always, we're chomping at the bit to try and take a 130 to a plus 120 in the NHL for a team total. UFC, you manage your bankroll, but it's all about the same thing you always say. What number did you make the price on this fight, and what number did it come out as? I'm taking Jorge Masvidal this weekend. I think it's kind of the last dance for him. He keeps on saying that this is going to be a fight for him. If he doesn't win it, he's done. But he has very underrated wrestling. If he gets in tight, he can do damage on his feet. And I think Burns puts himself in really tricky situation. His defense, I think, is a little bit overrated. He puts himself in some vulnerable spots. And anybody that knows Masvidal, they know that he can catch people. I mean, he's pretty much known for what he did against Ben Askren, which was like about a 3-second fight. But what are the current numbers on that? I got to pull that up because that was the last time I checked. We were getting high up there in the 300s. 360 is what you can get right now on Jorge Masvidal over Burns. So that's one I really like. There's some good parlay material out there as well. I feel like the kid, I'm going to keep calling him this. The kid, Rojas Jr., I mean, he's on the main card. He's minus 250 to win. The guy is still in high school, Jeff. He's minus 250. You parlay him with Yanez. I think you can get the job done there. Those two guys together will give you a plus 115, 120 price. But Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira, I mean, I think this one goes over. I think that's kind of the look for me here. If you look back and you watch what happened, I get it. Pereira was piecing him up. Absolutely. But you know how fighters will say, I wasn't good. That was an early stoppage. And a lot of time it's BS. The more times I watch that, the more I'm kind of thinking maybe he actually was okay. He was constantly moving around. He was still dodging. He was eating punches, but I feel like people are forgetting that he was winning 4 of those 5 rounds. So, but there is one really strong percentage. I'm pretty sure it's up where in the high 80% that once a fighter loses their belt, they struggle big time in that rematch. And we saw it with Leon Edwards. He got it done against Kamaru Usman. A lot of times once guys lose their belts, they don't get it back. So we'll see what happens. But I like the over. I would not be shocked if that one is decided by the judges. But I don't think either guy will want it to work that way. But I think Izzy is going to get back to smart. What's he known for, right? Like Izzy gets a lot of hate because he's known for piecing guys up, playing a smart 5 rounds, and then getting out of there with the win. He does not want to mix it up with Alex Pereira, I don't think. I don't think he has anything to prove besides the win. If he goes in there with his ego and tries to outstrike Pereira, I think he's done. But I think this one could get over the total.
Yeah, that money's leaking in on Alex. My initial true number was 155 with a 4.5 over minus 30 cents. Right now it's circa, it's down to 135. You can get Alex at plus 115, under 4.5 now, juiced to 40 cents. So they're coming in on Mr. Pereira and the under 4.5 there. Again, this is a great card. Masvidal right now, you can get it plus 355 at circa. Kevin Holland right now, minus 240. And I cannot pronounce this gentleman's last name, Ponzingbeeb or whatever it is.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
The kid is minus 225 right now at circa, as you said. Big card. I can't wait. Obviously, I can't wait for your selections as always. The scroll has been going the whole time, Andrew. Everyone knows where to follow you at McInnis Picks. Get your work at Wager Talk Sports Mayflower. Go to YouTube. Subscribe at Mayflower Sports. It's free. One last time, tell them what you got for the weekend. And MLB, NHL playoffs, you name it, you got it.
Well, again, thank you so much for having me. As always, love chopping it up with you. Congratulations on the big run to you and your clients. For me, I'm trying to get on a big run of my own, 10-2 to start off the MLB season, about 1 or 2 plays per day so far. I want to get involved in the props, but I like to kind of see the pitchers perform a little bit. Let these batters develop some numbers and some stats for me. So hold off. We'll get those props going soon, guys. But I do have a top play going off very shortly. You can get a 7-day all access pass over at Wager Talk for baseball, or you can grab that 90-day pass, which gets you UFC, creep into the CFL season, NHL playoffs, all that good stuff. You preach it, I preach it as well. It's all about the long-term results, and that's what we're aiming for.
I can't wait as New Shoes sings next Tuesday, next Thursday. We'll be back. We always, always, always wish you a great weekend. Let's keep the run going on your side as well. I can't wait to next week as we get closer, because the following week we'll start the NHL playoffs, and it'll be 2 months of nonstop action. And I think a lot of unders. First 1 to 3 wins. How's that sound?
Yes. Don't be afraid to bet these unders.
Thank you, Connor. Thank you for hanging out with us today. Go follow Andrew at McInnis Picks. Go follow myself at EC Sports Invest. If you're not on our YouTube page, please head over to East Coast Sports Investors. Subscribe. That's free too. Turn on your notifications. Anyone with any questions about how they can become an ECSI VIP for just $3 a day. If you go to Starbucks and get a venti every day, that's $3. So go get a Keurig, go get a box of coffee like everyone else, and send the $3 a day to ECSI VIP. 2 losing weeks in the last 19. So be a part of it. Delivered to your cell and email. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Mr. Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks. We wish everyone a blessed day, a great evening. Have some fun tonight, and we will see you soon.